In 1869, Queen Victoria was monarch of the largest empire the world has ever seen. The British Empire stretched around the globe and held a quarter of the world's population. But the jewel in Victoria's crown was India, where there was real money to be made. If you had to travel to India in August of 1869, you might have joined P&O's Pera in Southampton, outbound to Alexandria, where you would transfer to the railway and go via Cairo to Suez, where Carnatic was waiting to take you down the Red Sea and across the Indian Ocean to what was then Bombay. All told, your journey would take you 3 weeks and cost you the equivalent of almost £9,000. Carnatic was built in 1862 by Samuda brothers on London's Isle of Dogs. She was one of the most luxurious ships of her time, 1776 tons, 90 metres long, with both a full sail rig and a compound steam engine. In Suez, she took aboard 230 passengers and crew, plus a cargo of blank coins for the Indian Mint, fine wines, mail, cotton bales, a field gun, and much more. She left Suez at 10 a.m. on Sunday the 12th of September under Captain Philip Bouton Jones, and headed south in lovely weather with a fair breeze. But around 1 a.m. on Monday the 13th of September, she struck Abu Nuhas. Captain Jones was satisfied she was in no immediate danger of sinking, so he decided to await rescue by a passing steamer, and the passengers enjoyed a comfortable day aboard. That night, the wind picked up, the pumps were overwhelmed, and it was decided to abandon ship. But as the lifeboats were loaded, she broke in two. The stern sank quickly. The bow whipped violently to port, flinging passengers and crew into the sea. Over the next few hours, survivors were plucked from the water, and the lifeboats then rowed across to Shadwan Island, some 4 miles away. P&O's northbound steamer, Sumatra, was signalled almost immediately, and she took the survivors back to Suez. A full account of the sinking by Major J.U. Champagne, one of Carnatic's passengers, was published shortly after in the Illustrated London News. There's a link in the description below. A few weeks later, Lloyd's dispatched Captain Henry Grant to salvage the wreck. His diver, Stephen Safari, successfully recovered the gold and the mail. Local Arabs were used to recover the field gun and some copper ingots, and then Carnatic was simply forgotten, until she was rediscovered by scuba divers in 1984. Carnatic is dived from liverboards, which moor to the south of Abu Nuhas and will mean a Zodiac ride, or you might moor directly above the wreck and can stride in. She now lies parallel to the reef, broken in the centre but still recognisable. She's a simple wreck to dive, but so colourful and open it's easy to forget she's a square profile of around 20 metres and slip into mandatory deco without noticing. Start your dive by swimming to the stern between the wreck and the reef, which will bring you to the intact 3-bladed propeller and the rudder. Just off the stern is this anemone with a good view of the wreck. Then swim forward to your left. These curved structures were the lifeboat davits. Closer up, they're covered in marine life. And from here you can see the remains of her iron ribs and cross to enter the stern. There are 3 deck levels, often full of glassfish and their guardian red-mouthed groupers. Swim forward and left to find the aftermast. Then swim back to what was the bottom of the wreck, and you can find the prop shaft tunnel and prop shaft. It isn't tight, but you will need to turn around to exit. As you exit, there's a swim through just ahead, where you can find the crankshaft and flywheel, and just ahead of those are the remains of her boilers. The centre section of the wreck is broken and collapsed, but there are compartments to be found and details of the ship to explore. Swim further forward and you'll enter the bow section. And you can also find reminders of her cargo of fine wines. The anchor capstan and chains are visible in here. And so are shoals of glassfish and sweepers. Exit the bow section, swim forward, and there's her iconic beak. Those straight uprights once supported her deck awnings. But Carnatic is as much about marine life as it is shipwreck, so take your time. Finally, make your way to the ascent line, usually at the top of the bow section. And as you make your safety stop, you can take a final look at the wreck before returning to your dive boat.